The night was noisy, like Lagos itself was arguing with the moon. From her small but neat apartment in Surulere, Amaka Nwosu sat by her window, staring blankly into the busy streets below. Horns blared, voices rose, generators hummed like tired bees. But Amaka heard none of it. Her heart had become quieter than death. On the floor beside her lay a red dress, the same dress she had worn the night Tunde took her out for dinner and shattered her world. Tunde, tall, confident, dripping in money he never truly earned, had been her world for 3 years. He was the type of man who never failed to impress people. Expensive perfume, loud laughter, designer wristwatches that gleamed like pride. He was everything Lagos loved. Tunde wasn't just a man, he was a lifestyle. Fine boy, fresh skin, designer shirts, and a voice that could sell dreams to any woman. He didn't love quietly, he loved loudly, with promises, perfumes, and parties. When they met at a friend's birthday at Bay Lounge, Kenny had bought drinks for the whole table just to impress her. And Amaka, a soft-spoken content writer who worked for a lifestyle magazine, had loved him foolishly and had always admired men with flair fell headfirst into his charm. Their love burned fast, too fast. Tunde lived in a serviced apartment in Lekki Phase 1, but never seemed to have urgent 2K when it mattered. Every week, Amaka found herself paying one bill or the other. Electricity, data, sometimes even rent. But each time she complained, Tunde would pull her close, kiss her forehead, and whisper, "Babe, you know I'm just waiting for this big deal to clear. Once it hits, you won't lift a finger again." She wanted to believe him because every woman wants to believe that love will reward her sacrifices. But each month, the big deal never came. It was a Friday evening when Amaka's friends dragged her to Cuba Lounge, one of those places where Lagos women go to forget their week and remember their words. Adora, her best friend, was the kind who loved attention. Her laugh could light up a dark room, and her makeup always looked sponsored. Lillian, calm and cool, but could be dangerous in a simple jumpsuit. Ngozi, the calm, married one, wore a simple Ankara gown and wisdom like perfume. Anifoma, the colleague, with a small and too sweet smile to trust, tagged along to unwind. As the music turned, Adora raised her glass. To Lagos men who borrow love and return heartbreak. The ladies laughed, but Amaka's laughter didn't reach her eyes. Ngozi noticed. "Amaka, you have been quiet. Trouble in paradise?" Amaka forced a smile. "No. Tunde is just busy." Adora snorted. "Busy spending your money? Babe, open your eyes. That guy looks rich, but you're the one bankrolling him." Amaka frowned. "Ada, not everything is about money." Ngozi sipped her drink and said softly, "But love should not be a one-way sacrifice either." Those words hit Amaka deeper than she wanted to admit. She stared into her glass, watching the bubbles rise like her doubts. 2 weeks later, Tunde showed up at her apartment unannounced, wearing a frown. "Babe, I'm in trouble. My car broke down, and the mechanic says it will cost 300K. I don't want people to start saying your man is trekking in Lekki." Amaka blinked. "Tunde, I just paid your internet bill last week. Can't your brother help?" He sighed dramatically. "My brother is out of the country. You're my only one, babe. You know I'll pay you back." Those 4 words, "I'll pay you back," had become the anthem of our relationship, and yet she transferred the money. Later that night, she sat by her window, staring at the glow of Lagos from her 6th-floor apartment. She thought about her rent, her family in Enugu, her dreams of starting her own firm, all of which seemed to shrink under the weight of this man's charm. Was this love or bondage, disguised as affection? But love, she had learned, can be a liar when spoken by the wrong mouth. That night, she had gone to surprise him, only to find one of her best of friends, Lillian, sitting on his lap in his living room, giggling like a guilty child. Their eyes met, and in that silence, Amaka heard something break inside her. Something that would take years to fix. Now, weeks had passed, yet her heart still bled invisibly. Amaka, you have to stop doing this to yourself, her friend Ife said one morning as she barged into her apartment. Ife was everything Amaka wasn't: loud, confident, and allergic to tears. Amaka forced a smile. Doing what? Staring at nothing like your destiny is hanging from the ceiling fan, Ife replied. Tunde is not the last man in Lagos. Please, shift, make space for better people. Amaka chuckled softly. Better people? Yes, people that will treat you like the queen you are, Ife said, pointing at her. You're beautiful, smart, and you write like you were kissed by angels, but you're wasting your glow on Heartbreak. Amaka sighed. It's not that easy, Ife. I know, babe, Ife said gently. Now, but promise me one thing. Stop letting that man live rent-free in your head. That evening, as the orange sun melted over Lagos, Amaka's phone rang. The caller ID read, Mom. She smiled faintly and picked up. Mommy? Good evening. My daughter. Good evening, oh. Mama's voice came warm and tired. How are you? You sound weak these days. Amaka hesitated. I am fine, Mommy. Just walk. Walk, what? You sound like somebody carrying sorrow. Anyway, I called to remind you that next week is your grandmother's memorial. You must come home, oh. Mommy, Lagos is no excuse, her mother interrupted. You've not been home for over a year. You will come. I've told your uncle to expect you. We will do it in grand style this year. Your late grandmother deserves it. Amaka sighed deeply. Okay, Mom. I'll try. No try, my daughter. Come home. When the call ended, Amaka felt a strange stillness. Home, Anambra State. A place she had left behind years ago, chasing dreams and freedom. Maybe going back would heal her or break her all over again. The next Saturday, she boarded the bus heading east. Her suitcase sat by her side and her heart beat. Heavy but hopeful. Sat inside her chest. The road was long, winding through forests, towns and dusty highways. At every stop, the bus vendors shouted like gospel preachers. Gala, gala, cold water, okpa, dioko, okpa, dioko, okpa, dioko, gala, cold water. Amaka smiled faintly, remembering her childhood. Okpa, her grandmother's favorite snack. Grandma Neka had always said, Okpa tastes better when you eat it with peace in your heart. She didn't know that peace yet, but she was traveling toward it. Hours later, the bus rode into Newi, then into her hometown, Umuokbo, just as the golden sun kissed the red earth. Mama, Amaka called as she entered their compound. Her mother, Mama Chinyere, came rushing out in her wrapper and hair tie. My daughter, my eyes have seen you again, she cried, hugging her tight. Amaka inhaled the scent of her mother, a mix of palm oil, soap and home. For the first time in months, she felt safe. You've lost weight, Amaka. Lagos didn't treat you well, eh? Mama teased, touching her cheek. Amaka laughed softly. Maybe Lagos taught me lessons instead. Lesson or no lesson, eat first before talking, Mama said, dragging her toward the kitchen. Inside, the scent of Ofe Onugbu filled the air. The compound buzzed with activity. Women cooked, men discussed politics, children chased each other with balloons. Amaka's cousin had grown, her aunts gossiped endlessly, her mother moved like a queen, commanding her subjects. If you see your uncle's new car, you faint, her cousin Adobe whispered. Amaka smiled. I didn't come to faint, I beg. I came for peace. That night, after the bustle, Amaka sat outside under the moonlight. The crickets sang, the sky stretched wide, peaceful and open, unlike Lagos, where even stars were shy. She opened her notebook and began to write again for the first time in months. Her pen moved slowly. Each word felt like therapy. She didn't notice the old man standing at the gate, watching her quietly. Chief Obidike, her late grandmother's old friend, and one of the richest men in Nnewi. She smiled softly and said to himself, even her handwriting has grace. The next morning, Amaka walked to the market with her friend Ife, who had traveled down to Anambra too. On their way back, a black Prado Sov pulled up behind them. The driver came out quickly and greeted respectfully. Good morning, madams, Chief Obidike says. He would like to greet you. Ife's eyes widened. Chief Obidike, the billionaire that built half of Nnewi. Amaka frowned. I don't know him. But before she could say more, the door opened and a tall, dark man in white native attire stepped out. His agbada brushed the red dust gently. His presence commanded silence. Good morning, my daughters, he said warmly. You must be Amaka, Mama Chinyere's daughter. Yes, sir, she said softly. I knew it, Chief Obidike smiled. You look exactly like your grandmother. God rest her soul. That woman was the light in this town. Thank you, sir, Amaka replied politely. He studied her gently, the kind of gaze that carried both admiration and mystery. Tell your mother I will see her later, he said finally, nodding with respect. As the Sov drove off, Ife whispered, Chai, that man is rich. He owns hotels, estates, and schools. Did you see his wristwatch? Amaka rolled her eyes. He also looks like my father's age mate. Ife laughed. But did you see the way he looked at you? Money doesn't have age, my friend. Amaka sighed. Ife, I beg. I came here to rest, not to become somebody's trophy. But in her heart, a strange curiosity had already begun to bloom. Drums echoed. Women danced. The air smelled of roasted yam and palm wine. Chiefs and elders sat in rows. Amaka helped her mother serve guests. When she turned, her eyes met Chief Obidike's again. Across the crowd, he smiled warmly. And for a second, Amaka felt something unexpected. A calmness, not love, not attraction, just peace. Later, he approached her mother. Madam, you have a daughter that speaks with her eyes, he said softly. Mama laughed. Ah, Chief, that's my Amaka. Oh. She's single and very stubborn. Amaka overheard and frowned. Mommy? Everyone laughed. Chief Obidike only smiled deeper. I like stubborn women. They usually know their words. That night, Amaka couldn't sleep. For the first time in a long time, her heart didn't hurt. 2 days after the memorial, Amaka went to the village library, a small place she used to visit as a child. There she met Ebuka, the librarian. He was simple, no flashy clothes, no cologne, just a calm man with kind eyes. You used to come here a lot when you were little, he said. You liked reading folk tales. Amaka smiled. You remember? He nodded. Writers don't forget stories, and stories don't forget writers. His words stayed in her heart like a melody. Days turned into weeks. Chief Obidike visited often, always, bringing gifts for Mama. Ebuka met Amaka at the library often, always bringing peace for her heart. Tunde called once. She didn't pick. The Lagos girl was healing in the soft arms of her roots. And one quiet night, as she looked at the stars, she whispered to herself, maybe love doesn't live in luxury. Maybe it lives in every word spoken with truth. The morning sun crept through the raffia blinds, painting gold on Amaka's face. The roosters had crowed long ago, and somewhere in the backyard, her mother's radio was playing Bright Medie's voice. Because of English, we know they speak our language again, oh. Amaka smiled faintly, her heart lighter than it had been in months. She stretched, stood and stepped outside. The red earth was still damp from the early dew. Children ran barefoot. Women called out greetings in Igbo, and life moved in peace, something Lagos had long forgotten. Mama Chinyere was already sweeping the front yard when she saw her daughter. "Good morning, my fine writer," she called, smiling proudly. "Good morning, Mama," Amaka replied, hugging her from behind. "You're always up before everyone." Her mother chuckled. "Old age no get alarm clock, my daughter. The body just wakes itself." They both laughed, and for the first time in a long time, Amaka's laughter felt whole. Later that day, Amaka went with Adobe and Ife to Nkwo Market. Ife, always talkative, started immediately. "Babe, gist, Chief Obidike asked your mother when you're returning to Lagos." Amaka looked up from the basket of tomatoes she was examining. "Eh? And what did she say?" "She said you haven't decided yet." "My dear, that man's interest in you no be ordinary you." If it teased, he was even asking the price of wedding goods yesterday. Amaka laughed incredulously. "If he please, Chief is old enough to be my father." Adobe joined in, smiling softly. "Still, he's a good man. He built a health center. He pays school fees for 5 widows' children. Wealth aside, he's kind." Amaka shrugged. "Kindness is not enough, Adobe. We may speak the same language, but not the same word." Behind the laughter, a man was watching her, Ebuka, from across the market, his eyes quietly following her every move. He didn't have much to say, but his silence often carried more than words. That evening, the sound of car tires on gravel announced Chief Obidike's arrival. His convoy always drew attention. A black Prado in front, a Lexus behind, and his ever-present driver, Chike, dressed like a bodyguard. "Mama Chinyere," the chief called out as she entered the compound, carrying a box of provisions. "You will soon spoil me with this your soup, oh." Mama laughed heartily. "Chief, you're always welcome in my home. Come and sit down." When Amaka stepped out of her room, dressed simply in a yellow gown, Chief's eyes softened. "Ah, the Lagos sunshine has entered Anambra, oh," he said warmly. "You look like morning itself." Amaka smiled politely. "Good evening, Chief." He nodded. "Good evening, my dear. How's Lagos treating you these days?" "I left Lagos for peace, sir." Chief said thoughtfully. "Then you chose well. Lagos gives you money but steals your sleep." Mama Chinyere beamed. "Chief, I told her the same thing. Maybe if she finds peace here, she will finally stay." Chief turned to Amaka. "You know this town could use a woman like you. You write, you speak well, and you have a calm presence. That's rare." Amaka didn't reply, but the chief smiled anyway. His heart had already chosen her. After the chief left, Mama followed Amaka into her room. "My daughter," she began softly, "what do you think about Chief Obidike?" Amaka frowned slightly. He's a good man, I guess." Mama smiled knowingly. "Good. That man is a blessing. Do you know how many women in this village pray for that kind of suitor? He's rich, responsible, and he still respects tradition." "Mama," Amaka interrupted gently, "he's not my kind of man." Mama tilted her head. "And what is your kind?" "Eh? Those Lagos boys that drive you mad and break your heart." Amaka looked down. "It's not about money or age. I just don't feel that kind of connection." Mama sighed. "My daughter, sometimes love doesn't come dressed in your dreams. It comes dressed in patience." The next morning, Amaka went to the old riverbank, a place she used to visit with Grandma Nneka as a child. There she met Ebuka reading under the tree with a stack of old novels beside him. "Ah, it's the city girl who writes with her eyes," he teased softly. Amaka smiled. "And the librarian who never runs out of words." They both laughed quietly. Ebuka offered her a book. This was your grandmother's favorite, the Potter's Clay. She said it reminded her that people are shaped by pain. Amaka took it, touched. "You knew my grandmother?" He nodded. She used to tell stories here every Sunday. That's how I fell in love with words. Amaka sat beside him. I stopped writing after my heartbreak. He turned to her gently. Then, maybe it's time to write again. Not to impress the world, but to heal yourself. His words were soft, but they struck deep. The town buzzed that weekend. The annual New Yam Festival filled the street with drummers, masquerades and laughter. Amaka and her friends attended, dressed in matching Ankara wrappers. Chief Obidike was among the elders on the podium, his regal presence commanding respect, but Amaka's eyes occasionally drifted to where Ebuka was helping children arrange chairs. Simple, peaceful, true. Later that night, as fireworks colored the sky, the chief approached her again. "You remind me of your grandmother," he said, offering her a glass of wine she used to light up this festival just by smiling. Amaka smiled faintly. She was the woman of peace. "Yes," Chief said slowly, his voice deep, "and peace is what I see when I look at you." He didn't say much more, but his eyes said enough. Everyone around could see the chief was in love. Back home, Adobe and Ify wasted no time teasing Amaka. "Ify, so you mean to tell me that man who gave you that wine wasn't flirting?" "Amaka, he was just being polite." Adobe. "Polite," said polite, ke? His eyes nearly swallowed you. That's love in elder language. They all burst into laughter. Ify grew serious for a moment. "But Amaka, that man truly likes you. Maybe you should give him a chance." Amaka shook her head. "He's good, yes, but it's not for me." Adobe smiled softly. "Maybe your heart just hasn't caught up yet." That night, Amaka began writing again. "Dear Grandma, it's been a year since you left, and I still miss your laughter. You always said love is not what people say, it's what they mean in silence. I think I'm beginning to understand that. There's a man who speaks loudly, but his words don't touch me. Another who speaks softly, but I hear him even in his silence. Maybe this is what love is in every word feels like." She closed the notebook slowly and smiled. 2 days later, a delivery arrived from Chief Obidike, a large box wrapped in gold paper. Inside, an iPad, gold necklace, and a handwritten note. "For the writer who deserves finer ink, Chief Obidike." Ify gasped. "Chineke, Amaka, you are blessed. Do you know how much this necklace costs?" Amaka smiled sadly. "It's beautiful, but I didn't ask for it." Later that evening, she took the necklace to her mother. "Mama, I can't accept this. It feels wrong." Mama sighed. "You can't reject kindness, my daughter." Amaka looked into her mother's eyes, then let him give it to someone who understands his kind of love. A week later, Ebuka found Amaka sitting near the mango tree beside the church. "Why are you alone?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Because sometimes peace is louder when you're quiet." He nodded and sat beside her. "You know, people talk in this town. They say Chief wants to marry you." Amaka sighed. "They say too many things. Do you love him?" he asked gently. "No," she said honestly. "I respect him, but that's where it ends." Ebuka's smile was small but genuine. "Then I hope you find someone who makes you smile from the soul, not from the lips." Amaka looked at him long, her heart warm and uncertain. Maybe peace had been standing beside her all along. It was a bright Tuesday morning when Amaka decided to go to a Kenewi market with her cousin Ogechukwu. They moved through the stalls of fresh vegetables, spices and woven baskets, greeting the women who shouted prices in rich Igbo tones. "Madam, buy tomato, fresh like new bride. Madam, buy tomato, fresh like new bride." Amaka laughed and bargained playfully. It felt freeing to be just another woman in the crowd, not the city executive, not the pressure Lagos girl. Then she heard a familiar voice. "Ah, my daughter, Amaka." She turned. It was Chief Obidike, standing beside a palm wine seller. His agbada rolled up to his elbows as he tasted fresh palm wine with the villagers. The sight made her laugh. He looked completely at home, yet oddly endearing. "Chief," she called out teasingly, "do you ever rest from supervising everything?" He smiled. "If I rest, who will make sure our palm wine doesn't taste like water?" They laughed, and for a moment something unspoken passed between them. Ease, warmth, and quiet admiration. Ogechukwu whispered, "Amaka, see the way Chief they look you like it be festival." "Abeg, leave matter." Amaka murmured, but her cheeks betrayed her with a blush. Later that evening, as the orange sun melted into the hills, a car pulled up in front of the house. Amaka opened the gate and froze. It was Tunde. Her pa stood before her in the designer's clothes and perfume. Tunde, what are you doing here? He smiled nervously. Amaka, I've been calling you for months. You blocked me everywhere. I had to find you. Please, I just wanted to talk. Her mother came out, surprised but polite. Young man, welcome. You are Amaka's friend? Amaka's tone was flat. Former. Tunde exhaled. Please, 5 minutes, that's all. She agreed. Reluctantly, they sat under the mango tree. I know I messed up, he began. I took you for granted. I was stupid. But I've changed, Amaka. I got a better job now. I'm even saving to start a business. I want us to start over. She listened quietly. Memories flashing, the lies, the debts, the exhaustion. Tunde, she said gently, you don't fix broken glass by pretending it never shattered. You just end up bleeding again. He blinked, confused. Meaning you are late. I've healed. Tunde's shoulders dropped. He looked around helplessly. So that's it. Some old chief from the village replaced me? Amaka's eyes narrowed. Don't insult what you don't understand. Just then, as fate would have it, Chief Obidike drove in, carrying a basket of garden vegetables. He greeted warmly, unaware of the tension. Tunde rose. So this is him. He laughed mockingly. A village man? Before Amaka could speak, Chief Obidike's calm voice cut through. Young man, you can call me whatever you wish. But know this, a man's worth is not in his accent, but in how he treats the woman beside him. The silence was heavy. Even the wind seemed to pause. Tunde glared, muttered something under his breath and stormed off. Obidike turned to Amaka. Are you all right? She nodded, swallowing hard. I am now. That night, Amaka couldn't sleep. She sat on the veranda, watching the stars blink softly above. She thought of Lagos noise, Tunde's arrogance, and Obidike's steady calm. Her mother joined her quietly. My daughter, she said, sitting beside her. A good man's words don't shout. They whisper peace into your soul. Amaka's eyes filled. Mommy, he's older, different. I don't even know what I feel. Her mother smiled knowingly. When you start finding peace in someone's presence, that's love's first language. The rest will follow. Amaka said nothing, but she knew her heart had already begun to listen. 2 weeks later, Amaka returned to Lagos. Work had been calling, yet everything felt different now. She found herself missing the quiet hum of crickets, the soft laughter of her mother, and the patient eyes of a man she once called too local. At the office, her friends noticed the glow. Chioma winked. Babe, don't go village, collect joy portion. Oh, the love they shine for your face like this. Amaka laughed. I beg, leave me, Joe. But deep down, she knew it was true. She and Chief Obidike continued talking daily. Their conversations weren't long, sometimes just greetings or prayers, but they held meaning. Then one evening, he said over the phone, Amaka, I'll be in Lagos next week for a trade meeting. Would you have dinner with me? Her heart fluttered. Yes, Chief, I'll like that. The night of the dinner, Amaka dressed in a simple silk gown, not the loud fashion she once wore for Tunde, but elegant and calm, like the woman she had become. Chief Obidike looked dapper in a dark native attire, his wristwatch modest, his collar clean and warm. They dined overlooking the lagoon. The city sparkled beneath them, loud yet distant, like a life Amaka had outgrown. He spoke softly. Amaka, I don't want to rush you. I know you are still healing from your past, but I want you to know I am not here to impress you. I am here to understand you. She looked into his eyes, clear, sincere, unpretentious. Chief, sometimes I wonder why you even like me. He smiled, because in every word you speak, I hear truth. And truth is rare these days. Her heart trembled. It was the first time anyone had ever said something that real to her. Weeks later, Chioma and BC decided to visit Amaka. They wanted to inspect this mysterious chief. They met him at his hotel. He welcomed them like old friend, offering them palm wine and laughter. Chioma whispered later, "Girl, this man is pure gold. If you don't marry him, I will." They all laughed, but deep inside, Amaka knew her peace had a name. But back in her apartment that night, Amaka sat on her bed, scrolling through old photos. Tunde's fake smiles, her lonely birthday dinners, her tears masked by makeup. Then she looked at her new messages, Obidike's morning prayers, his kind check-ins, his silent care. It was no longer about age or class, it was about peace. She whispered into the stillness. Love isn't about who shines the brightest, it's about who stays when the light goes out. And in that whisper, she finally understood. There's a moment in love when everything beautiful begins to tremble, not because it's breaking, but because it's being tested. For Amaka, that moment began quietly on a Wednesday morning in Lagos. She was at her desk, sipping coffee and listening to the city hum through her office window. Her phone buzzed. A message from Chief Obidike. "Good morning, my sunshine. May your day be kind to your dreams." A soft smile crossed her lips. Her colleague, Chioma, peeked over her shoulder. "Who's making our madam blush like secondary school girl?" Amaka chuckled. "Just someone who understands peace." But as her laughter faded, she knew this love wasn't one the world would easily understand. Word spread fast. Someone had seen her with Chief Obidike at Echo Signature. By the next weekend, whispers grew wings. "Did you hear Amaka is dating that old village chief?" "Ah, she's desperate now, no. Lagos men don't tire her. She wants money, that's all." Even her radio fans, the ones who once praised her, began sending subtle shade messages. At first, she ignored it, but gossip spreads like smoke. It finds its way into your lungs before you notice you're choking. One evening, while she was hosting her live show, Heart Talks with Amaka, a caller said, "Madam, how can someone like you, educated, classy, be seen with a man like that? Are you doing it for content or for comfort?" Her heart sank. The mic suddenly felt heavier. She forced a smile and replied, "Sometimes, the people who look unfit for our love are the ones sent to heal it." Her producer gave her a thumbs up, but when the mic went off, tears silently filled her eyes. A few days later, Chief Obidike came to Lagos again. He found Amaka in her apartment, sitting by the window, staring at the city lights that used to make her dream, now just making her tired. "Amaka," he said softly, "I heard what people are saying. Do they know you like I do?" She sighed. "Chief, you know Lagos, everyone has an opinion, even on things that don't fit them." He sat beside her. "I didn't come to argue with your mouths. I came to remind you that I see your heart, not your past, not your fame, just you." For a moment, silence danced between them, the kind that feels like a prayer. "Chief," she whispered, "how do you stay so calm? How do you not fight back when people laugh at you?" He smiled. "Because peace doesn't argue with noise." Amaka felt something shift inside her, that kind of stillness that only love can teach. Weeks later, a blogger posted photos of them at a charity event captioned, "Amaka the radio queen engaged to her village chief, true love or gold rush." The story went viral. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Brand partners began reconsidering sponsorships. Listeners flooded her DMs with mockery and judgment. Even Ify, her old friend from Anambra, called in tears. "Amaka, why are they saying you are selling yourself? You are worth more than this." Amaka felt a lump in her throat. "Ify, I didn't sell myself. I found myself." But still, the noise was loud, too loud. Chief noticed her withdrawing. her once bright laughter replaced by long distance and long silences. One evening, he came with a surprise, a quiet weekend getaway to Nsukka. "I want to show you something," he said. They drove for hours, up winding roads that kissed the clouds. The destination was a small hilltop overlooking green valleys and a river that shimmered like a sleeping snake. "This," he said, "is where I come to think. It reminds me of how small our noise is compared to God's peace." They sat on a rock, the wind blowing through the tall grass. For the first time in weeks, Amaka's mind was still. Chief turned to her. "Amaka, I don't have the fine grammar. I don't know how to impress the world, but I know how to stay. When storms come, I stay." Her eyes softened. "I believe you," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Then let me stay." She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Her silence was louder than any promise. Just when everything seemed peaceful, trouble struck again. Chief Obidike's business rival, Chief Emeka, spread a rumor that Amaka was manipulating Obidike for his wealth, that she planned to inherit his properties once he died. The gossip reached Anambra like wildfire. Even Mama Chinyere heard it at the market. "My daughter," she said, trembling on the phone, "these people are saying terrible things. Please come home." Amaka packed immediately. When she arrived, she met Chief Obidike sitting quietly under the mango tree, his favorite thinking spot. He looked at her gently. "Do you believe what they are saying?" Her voice cracked. "No, but they won't stop talking." He sighed deeply. "Then let them talk, my love. Our silence will grow roots where their words die." That night, Amaka wrote in her journal, "They said I was foolish to love a man who spoke in proverbs, but sometimes wisdom hides in old voices and peace comes wearing dusty sandals." Weeks passed. The gossip died. People moved on to new rumors. What remained, steady and silent, was love. Amaka returned to Lagos, stronger than before. She resumed her radio show, now beginning each episode with a quote she learned from Chief Obidike. "Real love doesn't trend, it teaches." Listeners started to feel the change in her voice. Her show ratings soared again, this time not because of drama, but because of authenticity. Chief Obidike's name began to carry respect in circles that once mocked him. One evening, as she wrapped up her show, she received a text. "The moon is full tonight. Shall we sit under it again, my sunshine?" She smiled. That night, they met at the same hill in Nsukka, quiet, timeless, ageless. The Lagos morning rose with golden warmth. The city buzzed with dreams, traffic and radio jingles. Inside her cozy apartment, Amaka adjusted her microphone and smiled at her reflection. Her radio show, Echoes of the Heart, had become one of the Lagos' most loved programs, a sanctuary for broken hearts and hopeful souls. Every night, her voice reminded listeners that life, though imperfect, could still be beautiful. "Good evening, my beautiful listeners," she began that evening. "Tonight's story is called Love in Every Word, a story of finding peace where pain once lived." Her eyes drifted to a framed picture beside her, her mother, Mama Chinyere, standing beside a sign that read, "The Whisper House, Women's Center, founded by Chief and Mrs. Obidike." Amaka's lips curved into a smile. The memorial had ended beautifully as she flashed back 2 years ago. The crowd had gone home, leaving behind the cool scent of evening rain. Amaka walked toward the mango tree, her heart calm yet restless. Behind her, footsteps approached. "Amaka," a familiar voice said softly. She turned. It was Chief Obidike, dressed in a simple white native attire. No gold chains this time, just a man standing before her with sincerity in his eyes. "I don't want to disturb you," he said, his tone humble. "I just came to thank you for forgiving me for the man I once was." Amaka smiled gently. "You don't owe me thanks, Chief. You grew. That's something money can't buy." He looked down, then up again, his voice quiet. "I once chased love to feed my ego, but now I just want to share peace with a woman who taught me what true love sounds like." Amaka's breath caught Chief. Chief. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet box, and opened it slowly. Inside gleamed a simple gold ring carved with an inscription that read, "In every word, love." He went down on one knee. "Mama Chinyere," he said, eyes glistening, "I don't come to impress you anymore. I come to love you, word by word, day by day, not as a chief, not as a conqueror, but as a man who found peace in your voice. Will you marry me?" Tears rolled freely down her cheeks. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she smiled, the kind of smile that only comes after healing. She whispered, "Yes, Chief, yes, I will." A year later, in Lagos State, the wedding was grand, yet filled with hearts. People from both Lagos and Anambra gathered to witness what many called the union between grace and wisdom. Chief Obidike arrived in a cream-colored abada embroidered with gold. Amaka wore an ivory lace gown that glowed like sunrise. When the priest asked her, "Do you take this man to be your husband?" she looked into Obidike's eyes and said, "Yes, I do, because in every word he speaks, I found love." Thunderous applause filled the hall. Mama Chinyere wept tears of joy. Amaka continued her radio show, her voice warm, steady, filled with love. Chief Obidike sat nearby, reading the newspaper and smiling proudly each time he heard her laugh through the microphone. As the closing music played, Amaka leaned closer to the mic and said, "My story is not about falling in love. It's about learning love, in pain, in patience, in forgiveness. Because when two souls learn to speak truth in every word, love becomes unbreakable." She looked at her husband. He winked, lifting his cup of tea, and whispered, "That one is for me." "Abi?" She giggled. "All for you, Chief." Later that night, they sat under their balcony, hand in hand, watching the Lagos lights twinkle. Chief said softly, "Do you still remember the day you called me local man?" Amaka laughed heartily. "Ah, Chief, don't remind me, I beg. I was young and blind." He smiled, brushing her cheek gently. "You were perfect. You just hadn't learned what real love sounded like." She rested her head on his shoulder. "Now I have, and it speaks in every word you say." The night breeze danced around them, carrying laughter, peace, and the promise of forever. Moral lessons. Love doesn't always come wrapped in perfection. Sometimes it comes in humility. True love grows through forgiveness, not pride. When two hearts communicate in truth, wealth becomes a blessing, not a wall. Never judge a person by appearance. The purest hearts often look the simplest. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned a lot from the story. Try to love rightly and love the right person. See you in my next video. Bye.